challenge that you're trying to meet. And now walk with that question and see if nature or something in your environment can give you a clue as to how you can address it, how you can, whether it's, something as simple as being in this garden and the sunflowers have all their face towards the sun, or whether it's grow slowly in the space that you have, or maybe it's be abundant and, I don't know, it just depends. Like the praying mantis, have patience, stay there and wait, or go from place to place and see what you find, or, who knows, but they get, having them be self-reflective and open because not having the answer. So I often ask them questions that have no particular right answer, and can't Google the answers. That's a technique from my years in the Zen tradition. Working with koans that stop the mind and stop the intellect. Simple things. You probably heard. Now here's one. Just because to give you an example, I don't use this one with them, but one of the koans I've heard is, "What was your face before you were born?"
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, or what's the sound of one hand clapping?
Huh.
Or what is the source of your attention?
That's a big one that I've wrestled with myself.
Yeah, that's what I constantly, that's why I wrote the book, The Power of Attention. What is it? So anyway, so those are, to get them off the highway, off the fast track. Not that they shouldn't be going fast, but it's not, again, you burn out a little bit. So it's really going, okay, take a moment. And there's, something literal to stop and smell the roses.
Right, right, literally, yeah, exactly. Okay, fantastic. Thank you for sharing. That was a really, really beautifully articulated process for how this can look, because it's easy to say stop and smell the roses. It's kind of a platitude at this point, right? But to say what that actually would look like in the doing of it, I think that you gave me a lot of insight there.
Well, good, because that's what I teach. So good.
Yes, I guess that's true. I'm like, you explain that really well. You're like, well. Okay, so I want to honor our time here. I know you have something at 3:30. I have 2 more questions for you. Is that okay? 2 more? Or
yeah, that should be fine. That should be fine. And I'm looking at the time myself.
It's 3:15.
Oh yeah, we're good.
Okay. So the next question is, I'm very interested in what mindful language looks like, and there's not a lot of research in this area at all, actually. And so I'm kind of, I don't even know really how to ask the question, but I'm kind of talking to my interviewees about what mindful language might look like. So are there ways of talking that you favor?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, so can you kind of talk me through some of that? I'll give you some.
I'm very auditory, so language for me is vital.
Okay. And
there are words like deadline, which maybe could be turned into timeline, or there is, and it can get hokey, like brainstorm could be heartstorm.
Yeah.
Or, ask for, I think also saying to people, tell me, instead of saying, I know, when someone's talking,
yeah,
is to shut up and not know, and to just wait and listen to someone, because, I do this exercise where, I did it yesterday morning actually, and there were all these strangers to each other in this room. I never am in a room with a stranger, but they seem to think they are strangers, so I say to someone, okay, decide what you're going to talk about, anything. You might talk about your meditation, your dogs, you could talk about your kids, the Peace Box where we are, or Austin, that's where we were in Austin, and then I said, now one person talks, the other person listens, and the person listening, don't say anything. You can actively listen and nod and smile, but don't say anything. And so when I ask after a minute and a half, usually, what that felt like to be listened to, without being interrupted, without having someone reach for their phone or look over that person's head.
Yeah.
They say they feel honored and loved and respected. Really like they mattered and they're important. And so what happens is I do these in these snippet little exercises like that. And then I said, what would that mean to you if you were to do that for 1.5 minutes with your kids?
Oh, wow.
With your spouse. I mean, if you're doing it with a perfect stranger, it makes them feel empowered and loved and cared for. And they're only talking about their dog or their new car. Think about what it really would do. So I really try to help people to allow for space with silence. And I was a mother yesterday was driving me to the airport, and she was talking about her child who's in politics. She's in her early 20s, but she's a campaign person, and how she's living on coffee and just really stressed out at such a young age. And she says, well, every time she tells me how she's feeling, I tell her she shouldn't feel like that, and that everybody sees her as so successful. And I said, Leslie, why don't you just say this? Why don't you tell me more about it? Instead of coming up with the answer, come up with a question. I mean, it's so easy. Obviously, you're going to have the people that are very needy, but you're going to have the people that probably have never been heard before. And I can tell you, for me, looking back, and you could probably do the same thing. If you look back at your favorite teachers in, say, grade school, it's probably going to be a teacher that really got you. Mm-hmm. It's so simple, but we all have our own agendas, and we want to move on to our next question or the next problem or the next thing. So in terms of mindful language, spaciousness between statements is important, pausing more and asking questions like, tell me more about that. Mm-hmm. Instead of, it's like walking without labels. When we walk without labels, instead of seeing, and I say, oh, that's a pine tree, I don't see it anymore. Mm-hmm. If I label it, I walk away and dismiss it. When I'm listening to someone and I just say, well, they're just having a difficult day, and then I just don't listen anymore. So just to be in the engagement and curiosity and asking questions about that. And then, I think if there were more. Oh, really looking at the affirmations that we do. Mm-hmm. Like in terms of saying, I'm no good at this. I'm not a public speaker. I don't have what it takes. Those affirmations they're negative, but we're negatively affirming these things that are not true. Right. So I'll say things like, are you affirming that? Or, or don't say that about my coworker, or, really taking a look, are you really not that? And then to question negative beliefs and help others question their own. Yeah. To say, is that really true? Yeah. Oh, what a simple question. I love that. Is that really true? Just getting people to stop long enough to think about it. And okay. Well, somebody did that for me, and it changed my whole life. Really? And it was just, I was on the board of directors of a nonprofit organization, and I was always being asked to, I'm always good on one-on-one, but being asked to read or speak about an organization in public, I'm like, I don't speak in public. I don't actually talk in public. Now, of course, that's how I make my living, but then it was just, and it was only, 15 years ago, and, she finally, I guess, got sick of me saying that, because she could do it easily. She worked for that old magazine, McCall's. She was in New York, and a businesswoman, and so she said, is that even true? So, with that question, I now do that for a living, and actually, that's what I'm doing this afternoon, is speaking to a big group, leading them, people, in the public, for mental and brain health. So really taking a look at getting off of those well-worn highways of negativity. I love it. Not that metaphor, well-worn highways of negativity. Mm-hmm. Okay, fantastic. And then my last question I have for you is very open-ended. It's just, given your experience with mindfulness, with leadership, is there anything else that you feel we should talk about today? Anything else that you'd like to share on this topic? Well, I would like to share that you're a good interviewer, and I think that these would make really interesting podcasts.
Yeah, thank you.